Hello and welcome to our program Where God Weeps, a program in which we bring you closer to the realities and work of the Catholic Church in remote areas around the world, especially where she struggles to share her message as a result of discrimination or persecution, or simply the difficult conditions and circumstances. Today, it is my privilege to welcome His Excellency Wilfred Anagbe, Bishop of the Diocese of Makurdi in Nigeria. For many years now, Nigeria has been living bursts of violence and social instability. For the Catholic Church, it has been a painful period of death and persecution. There are multiple causes for this chaos in the African nation. In our conversation today, Monsignor Angabe will help us to understand the reality of the Catholic Church in his country. Your Excellency, welcome to our program.
Thank you very much. Thank you for this privilege and opportunity to be able to share with you the feelings and pains of one who is directly involved and affected by the crisis.
Nigeria is quite a large country, but in the whole territory, where is your diocese? What is located? What is the population like? And the landscape of this region?
I am from Benue State in Nigeria, which geopolitical zones are not central, the central part of Nigeria. Then whereby the central part of Nigeria is predominantly Christian community. And also, I am from Benue State, which is 100% Christian. And Benue State has 4 Catholic dioceses: Diocese of Otukbo, Diocese of Makurdi, which is the mother diocese, Diocese of Boko, Catholic Diocese of Katsina Ala. 4 dioceses in Benue. The Catholic Church occupies about 75% of the population of Christians. And so I tell you, 100% of the citizens of the state. You have Muslims, but these are all visitors who came either for business or so. So they don't get up say it's a percentage about, but they are living maybe in major towns like Makurdi, the state capital, Otukbo, and Boko, something like that.
The population, what do they do?
The local
it's agricultural.
The local population are local subsistence farmers, purely. Business only just in the cities, also the major cities, but predominantly in Benue we are farmers. And we farm things like rice, yams, cassava, citrus like oranges, mangoes, and all that. Then vegetables like tomatoes and all that. That's what we do.
So they live out of agriculture. And this. Now, we're mentioning this because then in the conversation, this is going to become a very important aspect of the conflict. Mm-hmm. Now, you started the conversation, Your Excellency, mentioning that you have lived in your own diocese, and I might say in your own body, the suffering and the attacks. Yeah. Particularly, you had some terrible incidents in 2019, if I'm not mistaken. 2018. Yeah. Can you tell us about this crisis?
The crisis... there has been some kind of clashes which in Benue State, maybe about early 2000, thereabout. But then, as of 2011, it became so intense and more organized arms movement in Nigeria by the Fulani herdsmen. And they come, raise attacks by 212, 213, 214. Many of the villages, especially in Makurdi diocese, cannot be accessed because the late siege in some of the places on the, some kind of, security forces came, able to dispel them, people now went back. But then, this was just the beginning of the major problems and crises we have. By 2016, the state government promulgated a law prohibiting open grazing in Benue State. That if you must rear animals, you must have to put them in, ranching, so that to avoid some kind of clashes with the local farmers. Because the practice of these cattle rearers, or the Fulani, called the Fulani herdsmen, they move their cows up to about maybe 25, 30 kilometers every day, going and coming. And of course, within this movement, they will get across schools, hospitals, markets, and then settlements. So there's no just free, no kind of just free grass to be grazing that way. And in this case, some people farm, and these farms, the cattle graze on it. And so this is the beginning of it. But then, there are issues now that are beyond what is meant cattle grazing. So by 2018, January 1st, on the eve of New Year, the Fulani terrorists raided an attack on one particular village where about 80 people were killed. Some got missing in the bush somewhere, maybe ran with gunshots, wounds, and then died. Nobody could describe them. Some ran to the safe places whereby we now have, these places will have IDP camps, camps for internally displaced persons. Benue State, as I talk to you now, has about 1,700,000 displaced persons scattered over the various camps in the state, in both dioceses. In Makurdi diocese alone, we have up to 6 of those official camps. When I mean official camps, the ones that the government agency has taken note of and also attend to them in terms of some little palliatives. But there are some unofficial camps. When the attack happens, they may all run to a safe place and stay. Because, and with this, they cannot go back to their ancestral homes. Some places, the homes are destroyed, burned down. In some places, the school churches are burnt and all that. So they can't go back. And when they go back, possibly to the relative peace and calm, some go to the farm and they get killed there by these, these Fulani terrorists who keep hovering around in case. So the list is like, kind of attacks that are going on different places. And in 2018 again, April 24th, 2 of my priests were killed while celebrating Mass in the morning with 19 worshippers. If you say it is grazing, I don't know where grass grew. There was grazing grass in the church. And then we had also a mass burial for them in May. With the 80 people that died January 1st, 2018, also the state government organized a mass burial, which we did. And I tell you, this is constantly going on every day. And so it becomes difficult for anybody to understand that it's not about grazing. If it's grazing, why wouldn't you do the needful? In this present age, whereby there are more modern ways of rearing animals, why will you resort to what will bring conflict to people? And then the government tells the world that the problem in Nigeria is because of climate change. It's not climate change.
We'll get there. We'll get there later, Your Excellency. So you mentioned now the Fulani herdsmen. We usually hear in the news, let's say, 3 groups of perpetrators of violence. Yeah. Boko Haram, the Fulani herdsmen, and bandits, just people that are delinquents and are taking advantage of the insecurity and the crisis, kidnapping people and all that. There are 3 different groups separated with different intentions?
No, outrightly no. These are the same people, like when Boko Haram was metamorphosed into these separate groups with the same agenda. Because Boko Haram, first of all, came in with the whole idea of the Western civilization is bad. And they went about destroying schools and churches in the northeastern part of Nigeria, where you have Maiduguri, you have Yola, Adamawa State, and all the other states around. That is whereby they did a lot of those destructions. Cleared churches, killed people, displaced villages, people now left. And now, they moved it again to the bandits, another group of them, but it's still the same people with the same agenda. In the bandits are now taking control of the northwestern part of Nigeria, not northeast now, northwest. Hereby you have Kaduna, you have Katsina State, you have Zamfara and all those areas. And particularly in Kaduna State, where you have the southern Christian in Kaduna State, it's a reign of horror. The southern Kaduna, which is predominantly Christians. Now, they are operating, and then these ones kidnap, rape, and then demand for ransom. So it's not just miscreants taking advantage. It's a co-planned activity that is going on. Then, in the middle belt, you have the Fulani terrorists who are Fulani herdsmen who move about with cows. See, carrying out the same agenda of attacking people, churches, during masses, and all that. Then down the south, you have what they call the unknown gunmen, still with the whole intent and purpose of eliminating life. For instance, what took place in Owo, Ondo Diocese, on 5th of June 2022, that is on Pentecost Sunday, when they attacked a church during Mass and killed more than 50 people, just straight police there. Was there, what is the provocation? And though they took responsibility, that they were responsible, and I don't know whether anybody has this, but nobody has been arrested and prosecuted and brought to book about these issues. So, you can't tell me the government does not know.
Your Excellency, you keep using the word agenda, the same agenda.
Sure.
What is the agenda? It's one of the questions.
The agenda, simply let me ask quickly, the agenda is the Islamization of Nigeria. It's a jihad. That's what we call it. That's what we call it, a religious war.
So you think that in your experience, what you have lived in your diocese,
yeah,
the herdsman situation, the Fulani and all that, has been just manipulated in a way to go ahead with this agenda.
Sure.
Now, the second part of my question is where the money comes from, particularly, when you see that maybe these conflicts have been going on for many, many years or decades or centuries. But before there was maybe a conflict with very simple weapons. The weaponry that is being used now, it's extremely expensive, very powerful, and therefore very dangerous.
Yeah. Where does the money come from? This is the irony of the whole thing, because the people you see in the bush, these Fulanis, none of them can raise the amount of money to buy that ammunition. Like an AK-47 costs about maybe between 400,000 to 500,000 naira. You know what that means? Where would they get the money? How many cows would you say? And then you say the cows just to buy them. Who supplies them the live weapons? You understand? The bullets. Who gives them? And constantly they are on. And then you begin to see that this is a whole, what they call conspiracy of silence, whereby, for me, the government looks the other side where the perpetrators are going on, because they can't arrest them. And why would they not arrest them? Nobody has been arrested. I have been 8 years as bishop in Makurdi, Benue State. Nobody, with all the attacks on the villages, nobody. We have the police, you have the army, you have the air force, you have the navy. So, and these all are being controlled by the federal government. And to interest you to know that the chief of army staff, the chief of air staff, the chief of naval staff, the inspector general of police, all these are from Fulani extraction. All the service chiefs. So, what happens?
And when you say from Fulani extraction, you mean specifically from a particular tribe?
Yes, that's what the Fulanis. That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Every Fulani is a Muslim person?
Well, I can't really know whether they are Christians. I doubt. But I can't be so sure. If they are, it's not even a percentage, if at all they are. But they are, because I've seen a priest from Yola Diocese who say it's of Fulani extraction anyway, but that is just what percentage.
So this is where all this, the causes of this conflict overlaps, and we see here ethnicity and religion and also economical interests. Your Excellency, this crisis, particularly in your area, in your state, it was known as the breadbasket for Nigeria. This conflict is affecting the productivity, and is this going to have consequences for food supply?
It is already having, in the sense that the real farming population is the one that has been shifted or have been vandalized and then pushed out of their ancestral homes. So they can't farm. And back home now, they have pushed everybody. Imagine 1.7 million people in the camps. You can imagine what that means. They are doing nothing. They can't go to farm. These are those who have been on their farms, some producing rice, some producing yam, some producing cassava and all that. So, and this moves around. This is just what these people do. So as it is now, food production is not there, which is already going to affect the economy. And the whole issue, the insecurity in the country today has affected Nigeria as a nation. One, economic life is affected because nobody can now move and go to maybe travel to Maiduguri or Kano for business transaction because you'll be afraid what the outcome is going to be. And then you can't move down comfortably down south to do that. And like that, it is difficult. The social life is also destroyed because we become very suspicious of one another. And then movement becomes, you manage where you are and stay. No movement. And education-wise, schools are closed, destroyed. In my diocese, I have lost about 12 parishes. 12. Because the communities have been displaced. Now, in this school, all the schools are closed. All the churches are burned down. Clinics are closed. Markets are not existing. So where is the livelihood of the people? And so you now see you have pushed people to become beggars in their own land. When they are able-bodied people who would have gone to the farm to produce. And then because any person who goes to farm, sometimes they move as a group. But when somebody comes with a submachine gun, what will you start to withstand him? And then not even, you can't say there is a crisis, or there's a provocation that you are prepared.
It's really painful, Your Excellency, to hear this reality. I mean, to hear you describing it, and it's your people, they're your souls, your sheep. Tell me now, what are you doing, you meaning head of the church in this particular diocese, what is the church doing with the IDPs in terms of services?
Yes, it's actually, the whole situation of the IDPs is hydra-headed in the sense that they depend on virtually everything. And when I mean depend on virtually everything, I want to thank also some of the NGOs that have been really, some who come around food items, especially the most vulnerable group, like maybe pregnant women, the nursing mothers, and maybe the handicapped, the blind, or the deaf. At least these ones can also, but they need to be helped. So when we have some days like Pope Francis, the 33rd Sunday of the year talks about the World Food Day. So what we do is that we solicit for food items and then move to the camps and look at those that is really very, very, those are most vulnerable, we attend to them. But then some other organizations have been coming in to assist. But what we do, that we also, the faith formation, we don't want it to go because we keep on the priests who have, those communities have been displaced, they are not in the place, but on Sundays, they say masses for them, especially minimally, to say mass so that the faith, we keep the faith alive. 2 years, last year precisely, 2021, I had an inspiration. And then I came to me in that way, and I think you just have to follow it up. And we began what you call, going to scholarship for the IDPs, displaced persons. As the JDPC and the Resource and Planning Commission of the Diocese, a commission we just started to be able to look into better ways of how to, to serve the people of God. They call it Resource and Planning Commission of Makurdi Diocese, and said, let us take one approach one project, or begin to attend to one particular thing, and that is the education of the displaced persons. You discover out of this 1,700,000 persons, you discover that 75% of this population are the young people.
In need of education.
Yes, sure. And who are of the school age. And some of them since 2011, some of earlier than that, 2008, some have never gone to school. And in these camps, women are still giving birth. Women are still giving birth in these conditions. Now, we did with JDPC Education, the Secretariat of Education for the Diocese, and then Resource and Planning Commission. We organized, or we wrote, children took commentary in the various camps. And we said 800 and sat for the exam. 400 and something passed based on the marking. And then we could, if you have 400 children in one school, that's already a big school by our standard. Big student number. Now we have to just take about 50 for the start. So last year we took 50 children, ages of 11 and above, into secondary school. We took 24 girls, 26 boys, and we sent them to some of our 5 schools. One school, the Mount Lassay College, run by the De Lassay brothers of Christian School. They run a school in the diocese. Then one of my schools, Mount St. Gabriel Secondary School, Makurdi, Mount Carmel College, which is purely for for girls. Then Mount St. Michael's and Holy Child Secondary School. We sent 10 each to these 5 schools, and it's full-time boarding. So this is what we started. This year, we got another 50. In fact, it just resumed about a week ago. So that is about 100. However, what are we doing? Because my reasoning is, if in the next decade, nothing is done for these people to get back to their place, and if they go back, schools are destroyed, then these children in the camp are getting about 15, 18, 19, 20, a very volatile age in life, teenage stage. These children, without any conscience formation, any holistic formation, if they begin to unleash terror on the society, nobody will be spared. But I want to let it be on record that when this was happening, the church was able to do this, no matter how minimal it will be. So that is what we are going, and it takes 6 years for somebody to be educated, that is secondary school. Then you write a senior secondary school certificate examination, which qualifies you to get to a university. So what we do now is, now there are 100 in different schools now. During holidays, we bring them back to one of our schools wherever they stay. We really just don't want to pull them out completely from their parents in the camp, but then we don't want also them to get back to the camp and stay. So we keep them in the schools, and then during holidays, we teach them, some skill acquisition, like tie and dye, soap making, shoe making, hairdressing, and then tailoring and all that. We do that at least to keep them so that when they finish secondary school, those who cannot continue would have at least to fall back to something, some skills that they can use to make a living. So we are doing that, and then we give them maybe a week or maybe up to 10 days or so to go to the camp and reunite with their parents and come back. And during the course of the holidays, we also have the church in need helped me last 2 years to train one of my priests in Kenya, psycho-spiritual counseling. And this year, they are sponsoring us another one who is in Kenya too. And then we have, so once they come back, these priests keep on giving a kind of, post-traumatic counseling, so that we're able to de-radicalize them from the reality of what they saw, because some of them saw their parents slaughtered. Some saw their mothers, their sisters raped, even to death, and it's still in the subconscious. And it's really difficult. Gradually, we're trying them. In these schools back in the university, they are integrating with the normal children who come from their normal homes and all that. So somehow with by the grace of God and with the goodwill of the people of God, men and women of faith, we'll be able to continue to do the little best we can as far as the education of these children is. The one that is we are trying to partner with the state government is those in the primary school, because they are too tender to be pulled out from their parents. Yeah, we want the state because the state government will be easy to handle. They can employ, we requested that they employ 50 teachers from various camps. That is, we can let them make up 50 so that they can run the schools in the places where the government takes care of their salaries, at least. Even if there are no special buildings, but let them simply have a place to read, at least to know how to read, and that they can join the alphabets and form a word. If not, it will be difficult. But we hope we'll be able to make it.
Your Excellency, in such a difficult condition and situation, how to talk to them about forgiveness and reconciliation?
Yeah, it is really, if the forgiveness actually comes from God. And that is why I said the faith formation, we cannot leave it. And if they see also the church being concerned about what is happening to them, I'm sure many will be able to, the Holy Spirit can soften the hearts of a lot of them, because ordinarily it's not easy. But forgiveness is beyond what me and you can talk. God can intervene. And even more radical moments have people have forgiven others. But we are doing it, humanly speaking, that they should be able to find life. And that is what Jesus Christ came. John chapter 10, verses 10, Jesus said, I came that they should have life and have it in the fullest.
In abundance.
Abundance. So we are trying to do what is humanly possible based on our resources and means. But I know it's a whole challenging responsibility, but it is worth doing it.
Your Excellency, thank you very much. I know that there is a lot more to know and to share from your part. Unfortunately, we run out of time, but God willing, maybe we will have the opportunity of talking to you again in the near future.
Thank you very much. I appreciate every bit and the opportunity you have given to me, and also at least you heard from somebody who's directly involved in the crisis, because it's affecting me on a daily basis. It's affecting me. During the heat of this problem, 2018, I was in Rome for the Adlimina visit. Luckily, it was towards the end of our visit. I never, for the first time, I had sleepless nights was this crisis. We had to close schools when I went back home. Suddenly, because you hear rumors, sometimes goes to rumors, and Fulani people are coming today. It became such a crisis situation back home in this. And then sometimes markets just say, Fulani people are coming there, people begin to run. And where are you running to? But that is it. Well,
thank you, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being with us in another program of Where God Weeps. If you want to know more about the work that the Church is doing in Nigeria, we encourage you to contact the information at the end of this program. Thank you, and God bless.